Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Castro. Thanks for joining us tonight. Keep Northern Illinois Beautiful puts on the Great American Cleanup on the last Saturday of April each year. Our Nikel Delgado tagged along for the cleanup. Nikel?
That's right, Taylor. Volunteers work up and cleaning as early as 8:30 this morning. They tell me this cleanup promotes a more vibrant community.
We have a beautiful city, and to make it beautiful, we all have to put in the work.
And volunteers are putting that work in by donating a few hours of their Saturday to clean up trash, plastic, bottles, cans, and glass from neighborhoods, parks, and roadways. Volunteer and assistant project coordinator at Life Decisions, Kaloop Griffiths says, seeing all the garbage in such a beautiful area is devastating, but is glad there's people out there that want to clean it up.
Being an organization on State Street, we feel like there's the need for us to be out here to clean it just because we see it every day. We're out here trying to bring restoration to Rockford and make Rockford a more beautiful place, so this is where to start.
There are 9 meetup spots across the state line for volunteers to grab their garbage-grabbing tongs, gloves, safety vests, and bright yellow trash bags. Last year, there were more than 1,200 volunteers that covered 312 miles, cleaning up 94,000 pounds of litter.
We try to hit the areas that nobody is responsible for, like the creek along Morstay Drive. There's no business to clean up after it. The empty parking lot where the Magna grocery store was is always a terrible mess from trash blowing there.
Other volunteers, like Executive Director of Miracle Mile Rockford, Paula Olson, says, it's sad that we have to do this every year, but it's necessary to keep the city healthy and safe.
It's just something that we enjoy doing to keep our area looking nice, and helps improve the area and promotes economic vitality.
Both Paula and Kaloop hope people will realize that they can also do their part in keeping the city clean.
To be able to walk through their city anywhere and see that it's just beautiful and not full of trash is really important.
Volunteers tell me they hope to have more cleanups throughout the year. Taylor?
Thanks, Nikel. A new bill in Illinois called Right to Read would ban libraries from banning books. The bill would prohibit the state from giving grants to libraries that challenge books. The Illinois Secretary of State serves as the state's librarian, and he's promising to protect free speech and access to books by drafting this first-in-the-nation legislation.
This has nothing to do with banning books. This is about a certain group of individuals who fundamentally disagree with a certain viewpoint of a book, and they're universally trying to ban books. I can't talk enough about how dangerous this is for the future of our democracy, for our kids and grandkids. I've got 3 little girls, and obviously not every single book is for every single one of my kids. But for others to deny the ability for people to read and gain a new perspective inherently flies in the face of our freedom of thought.
He makes the case that parents and kids should be able to choose what they'd like to read, arguing that banning books takes away that right. Borrowers with paused federal student loan payments may have to start paying up again. At the latest, payments are expected to restart by the end of August. They would resume either after the Supreme Court rules on President Biden's student debt relief plan or on June 30th, whichever comes first. The freeze on payment was put in place during the pandemic and has been extended 8 times under both the Trump and Biden administrations, most recently in November. This weekend, an immersive experience returns to a local museum. Midway Village Museum is having their World War I reenactment. Visitors can tour a reproduction, 150-yard trench system, and watch reenacted battles. You can also visit encampments and see World War I uniforms, weapons, and equipment. Reenactors come from across the Midwest to portray soldiers and civilians from the U.S. and Europe. It's the museum's first full-scale World War I days since 2019. There's a lot of work that goes into putting on such a large event.
We've had 250 reenactors come from all over the Midwest. Getting all of the food vendors here is a big deal, and we have people on staff that's basically their full-time job for a couple weeks. Getting the village cleaned up and ready for everybody. People stay the night here. It's a massive undertaking.
Sunday is the last day to check it out, This event is big, yet is still just a third of the size of the museum's World War II days that take place at the end of September. People of all ages got to explore a special helicopter at the nation's second largest Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Operation Huey took place this afternoon at the LZ Peace Memorial. The Huey helicopter that flew in the Vietnam War was opened for guests to go inside. It's the chance to see the bird up close. Organizers hope that those who come out to the memorial leave with a sense of the sacrifices that were made during the war.
Education is very important, especially young people. Their knowledge of the Vietnam War is very, very limited to what they read in a history book. It's probably only a page and a half at the most. So the more that we can educate young people about that, the better off it is. After all, history is, it's our past. It's something that we need to be aware of so that we don't make mistakes that we made before.
They handed out Huey cards and their famous Huey cookies. Organizers hope this becomes an ongoing event. Despite the rain, runners laced up their shoes to race for a great cause. The Superhero Center for Autism held their 5K race. Prizes were donated for the winners in each age division. All of the proceeds from the event and t-shirt sales help keep the center open. The Superhero Center benefits children and families with special needs, providing them with a judgment-free zone. It's a resource that's important to keep free.
So our big fundraisers that we have yearly are super important. It helps us keep our doors open, helps us keep state-of-the-art equipment in our center for our kiddos so we can keep everything free at the Superhero Center.
For more information on the Superhero Center and how you can sign up, check out this story on our website, mystateline.com. A massive manhunt is underway in Texas for a shooting suspect. Authorities believe he shot and killed 5 people, including an 8-year-old. Here's Doreen Shaw with the latest on the investigation into the shooting rampage.
Tragedy unfolded Friday evening. 5 people killed, including an 8-year-old child, when a gunman opened fire inside a home in Cleveland, Texas, just outside Houston. Deputies were dispatched to a residence about a harassment complaint. When en route, multiple 911 calls came in of an active shooter at the location. When deputies arrived, they found several victims ranging in age from 8 to 40 years old. 4 were dead. The 8-year-old died at the hospital. All of them had been shot. Investigators said they believe the suspect, identified as 39-year-old Francisco Oropeza, was intoxicated and began shooting an AR-15 on his front porch when a neighbor asked him to be quiet.
A gentleman stepped out of his house, said, "Hey, we're trying to keep an infant to bed," and he says it's his property. He'll do whatever he pleases on his property. The man went back in the house. Next thing they know, he's walking up the driveway with the rifle in hand. San Jacinto County Sheriff Greg Capers told ABC affiliate KTRK it appeared some of the victims were trying to shield the children. Police found 2 dead bodies atop harmed victims who were covered in blood. The sheriff says investigators have video of the suspect walking up to the house, which is how they identified Oropeza. Veronica Pineda lives nearby. She says there are always guns being fired in the neighborhood, so she thought nothing of it when she heard the gunshots Friday night.
There's always shootings everywhere. This neighborhood, they're always shooting. So yesterday I heard the shooting, but I thought it was like a normal day.
A judge issued an arrest warrant for the suspect and assigned a $5 million bond.
That was Doreen Shaw reporting.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Well, a cold front came through earlier into this morning, and that brought us at least a line of some showers, and now some of that colder air starting to work its way in, leading to some of those spottier showers here, even locally right now, continuing later on into the night tonight. Those spottier showers, not a whole lot, but definitely some to provide at least a couple of drops on the windshield later on here into the evening and going into the overnight tonight. We have a lot of that cloud cover starting to really build back in after we had some spots of sunshine out there earlier this afternoon. Our SkyTrack camera out in Poplar Grove is brought to us by the Poplar Grove Airport. Even though we had some of that sunshine, temperatures are still quite a bit cooler than where we were even at this time yesterday, with many spots around 15 degrees cooler, even close to 20 degrees cooler than they were just 24 hours ago. Those temperatures right now are in the 50s and even a couple spots in the 40s across the board. 52 right now in Rockford, 54 in Rochelle, 53 in Freeport, 48 over in Monroe, picking up quite a bit of that cloud cover across the area. Not nearly as much of that warmth like what we had yesterday. Now all of us underneath that northwesterly flow behind that cold front that came through earlier into this morning. Our sky conditions for the rest of the evening tonight, we do get at least a little bit of the breaks in the clouds, but not really seeing any precipitation, at least any major precipitation, until we get into the very early part of tomorrow morning. Temperatures will fall back down into the low 40s once again during that overnight tonight. Here's what Futurecast is looking like the rest of the evening. We get some of those pockets of clearing with temperatures falling back into the upper 30s in a couple spots overnight tonight. Early tomorrow morning, as some of those heavier bands of precipitation come in, we could see a few spots that even see some snowflakes trying to mix their way in early into the morning tomorrow. As temperatures warm back into the 40s, I do think that becomes all rain, but we are going to be looking at a little bit more widespread rain showers than what we had earlier today, with a lot more of those spottier. Now as we get later on into Monday, once again we could see a few of those snowflakes mixing in, and even into Monday afternoon before once again temperatures warm a little bit. The bulk of those will remain further off to the east, where some of that forcing is going to be located along that low pressure system. Overnight tonight, temperatures do fall back down into the 30s, 37 degrees with a few chances of that wintry mix possible. That continues once again into the afternoon tomorrow, at least in the early part of the day. Once we get into the afternoon, temperatures warm a little bit back into the 40s. Things become a little bit warmer, becoming a little bit more like all rain. Those winds could also gust a little bit, close to 30 miles an hour, as that low pressure system kind of pulls its way out of the area. Those winds could be gusty once again as we get into Monday, even after Sunday as well. So temperatures a little bit on the cooler side here for the rest of the weekend, in the 40s for Sunday and Monday, but then warming quickly back up into the 50s and even eventually the 60s as we get into the end of the week.
Now sports with sports director Scott Leber.
And the NFL draft is over. All 7 rounds are in the books. Today, the Bears went for some offensive help early. In the 4th round, they took Texas running back Rashawn Johnson. He was in the shadows of Bijan Robinson with the Longhorns, but Johnson had a strong college career. He rushed for almost 2,200 yards and 23 touchdowns. He's a power back, and he's also a strong blocker. With their 2nd pick in the 4th round, the Bears took Cincinnati receiver Tyler Scott. He's not a big guy, standing only 5'10", but he brings lots of speed and yards after the catch. Last season, Scott led the Bearcats with 54 receptions and 9 touchdown catches. The Bears' other picks were inside linebacker Noah Sewell of Oregon, cornerback Terrell Smith of Minnesota, defensive tackle Travis Bell of Kennesaw State, and cornerback Kendall Williamson of Stanford. Well, the Packers picked up a quarterback today from the Big Ten. They used a 5th-round pick on Penn State's Sean Clifford. He was a 4-year starter at Penn State. He's the only Penn State quarterback ever to pass for more than 10,000 yards in a career. He is also Penn State's all-time leader in completion percentage and in wins. Some of the Packers' other picks today were defensive tackle Colby Wooden of Auburn, receiver Dontavian Wicks of Virginia, defensive end Carl Brooks of Bowling Green, and kicker Anders Carlson of Auburn. For the first time in the Calder Cup playoffs, the Ice Hogs are coming off a loss. They dropped Game 1 to the Texas Stars last night at the BMO 5-3. It was a game that was there for the taking. The Hogs led 3-2 early in the 3rd period, but then the Stars reeled off 3 straight goals. The last one was an empty netter. So now the Hogs must win tomorrow afternoon at home or face the uncomfortable reality of having to go to Texas to win 3 straight to keep their season alive. So what did the Hogs learn from that Game 1 loss last night?
I think we just take forward, our attack mentality, getting pucks towards the net, playing hard, maybe play a little bit more physical, try to match their physicality. Just kind of keep playing fast, keep playing hard.
I liked a lot of parts of our game. I think we got some good information on them that we can work with, so I think that's the biggest thing.
Tomorrow's game will start at 4 o'clock. Well, Rockford track and field tradition carried on today. The East Relays were held at Guilford Swanson Stadium. Boys and girls took the track. This is the girls' 4x100 relay, and Jolene Seitz on the left there. Motors home on the anchor leg to give Guilford a 2nd place finish behind Bowman Academy. In the boys' 4x100, the East E-Rabs looking good. Jaden Green started it off. Javius Catlin and DeTara Stotson filled in the middle legs, and there comes Alonzo Lattimore on the anchor for a very impressive finish in 44.08 seconds. Guilford swept the main distance event, the 3200. Lena Andrews won the girls' race. Riddick Blackney here takes the boys race. Next up, the boys 100 hurdles. And Guilford's Jordan Woods will just edge Jefferson's Capella Imani by 0.06 of a second for the victory. In the girls 100 hurdles, it's another Guilford athlete, junior Anna Jones, who came in with the top time and finished with the top time in 16.1 seconds. And another Guilford runner, Jolena Seitz, whom we saw earlier in the 4x100 relay, delivering another win in the 100. Her time was 12.57 seconds. 9 teams competed in the meet. Guilford was the girls' team champion. Zion Benton, the boys' team champion. Guilford's boys were second and East were third. Well, you want to see some guys who love to compete. It's the guys in the Wheelchair Rugby Nationals tournament going on this weekend in downtown Rockford at the UW Health Sports Factory. Yeah, it's definitely a contact sport. The tournament is organized by the Oscar Mike Foundation, a great nonprofit dedicated to supporting our injured veterans through adaptive sports. The event will continue through tomorrow starting at 8 a.m. It is free to the public if you want to go and show your support for these men. Thank you to our veterans, and we'll be right back.